This is the only car in the world that I know that has NASA technology in the trunk. Hi, I'm Jon Wilde, a guy who works at GQ, and let's walk through just about all the cool design features here in the 2020 McLaren GT. The central selling point of a McLaren GT is that you've got all the creature comforts of a car that you can drive 300 miles in, while also having 200+ mile per hour top speed and 610 horsepower and all that McLaren engineering at your fingertips. You can do anything you damn well please. That's what $250,000 of McLaren engineering gets you. The legend of McLaren, as best I know it, goes a little bit like this. There's a guy named Bruce McLaren. He was from New Zealand. He liked to go fast. He liked to win on the racetrack. He founded McLaren to build amazing race cars. Fast forward to the 90s, he made the F1, probably one of the most legendary supercars ever built. At the time, it cost about $1 million. It was the fastest thing on four wheels that you could buy. I remember hearing legends about the F1 that inside of the engine bay, they had lined it with gold because that was the best heat reflectivity material that they could find at the time. And so, McLaren, maker of amazing supercars, ta-da. The type of person who owns a McLaren GT is somebody who is into something a little bit more esoteric. It's not a Ferrari, it's not a Lamborghini, and in most cases, it can probably beat one, but we're not gonna go there. For the competition, you're probably looking at Porsche 911 Turbo, Mercedes AMG GT, Audi R8, the brand new Ferrari Roma. All those cars are GTs. GT, as in McLaren GT, stands for Grand Tourer, or Gran Turismo if you like the PlayStation and feel Italian. It means it's designed to go very fast for long miles. It's not a hardcore race car. One of the things that McLaren did with the design here is they really tried to visually stretch the car. When they're trying to do this subtle vision of elegance, it has this long flowing line that starts at the back, comes all the way to the front. That stretched out feeling really kind of lends it a length that just signifies visually that it's poised and comfortable and just is really gonna kind of like glide over the road. One thing I wanna talk about first is the paint, which here is this beautiful green. They call it Viridian green. McLaren made 3 special colors that they felt were a little bit more subtle, a little bit more classy, a little bit more elegant. It's deep and it's flecked and it's layered. They also have a blue and they have a copper. McLaren uses those 3 colors on its other supercars, but they're super bold. They're like an electric orange, super bold blue. They're a crazy bright green. Here they made them low key, the kind of thing that looks good at like a 4-star Michelin dinner. 3-star Michelin dinner. How many stars do Michelin people get? I don't know. I eat a lot of burgers. Every McLaren has those. That's their signature. Lambo's got scissor doors. McLaren has a dihedral doors. Dihedral. They go up and out a little bit. That means you can park just about as tightly as you want and still get out of the car looking cool. One key thing about supercars is that it's really hard to get in and out of them looking cool. It's not so bad if you know the trick, and the trick is always lead with your ass. That's the only way. Butt first, swing the legs in, and then you're in. This kind of looks like a normal bit of fabric that's been kind of layered in here. That trunk is lined with a super fabric that they co-developed with NASA. They needed something that looked good, but it also is frictive. They wanted to make sure that when you threw something back there, it wasn't going to slip slide around and then possibly come smack you in the back of the head. I would say it's got a bigger than usual trunk, much bigger than just about anything else you'll find on a McLaren. Gives it a lot more space, but again, it's not very deep. You're probably not going to throw furniture in there or anything like that. This is really, you've probably got 2 very nice Louis Vuitton keep-all bags you're going to throw in the back. And if you're going with anything else, you're probably shipping it ahead. So you can see all over this car, there's vents, there's intakes. That means a lot of air is going in, washing over a crazy hot engine, and coming out of it could be as hot as 500 degrees. These exhaust kind of vents right here with the mesh are for heat to come out of. And that's really important because at some point, given that this is a car you're going to travel with and probably have luggage in, you're going to end up standing around this area. This is where all the heat comes out of. There's a bunch of mesh back here, and they had to do some very interesting engineered things to keep that heat from coming off and just cooking you. You guys might want to come around here. Ta-da! This would be the handle that you'd put your hands on to kind of open and close this thing. The problem is, all that hot engine air is coming right out this way. And so McLaren had to actually think about how do they make sure that hot engine air doesn't make this thing get too hot. It's hard and it's blocked, and where you see the holes back here, there's none back here. That's thinking. The McLaren GT has wider exhaust. This one behind me has $3,500 titanium exhaust, but that's a special option. These are some big, badass supercar exhausts, but on a lot of McLarens, they're in the center. That just kind of signifies supercar in a lot of ways. What they did here is they put them out wide because they care. When you're standing back here getting your luggage, frankly, when the valet is standing back here getting your luggage, that if the car is on, it's going to be like blasting hot air at your legs. And even with like a nice wide stance, you can see you're still not going to get singed that much. So thank you, McLaren engineers, for not burning off our leg hairs. Much appreciated. One of the things they do now on every car is they hide a kiwi, like the bird, somewhere inside the car. Now, I can't show you this one. It is down inside of this vent at the very bottom. The only people who will ever see it will be the very, very good technicians who work on this car. But rest assured that it is down there. The engine is a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine. McLaren's bread and butter is their engines. They got 610 horsepower out of this one. It's actually the same engine that is in their 720 Kingslayer supercar, and they've made some tweaks to it. It doesn't put out quite as much power. It's like being on a train. It'll just accelerate smoothly as long as you've got a straightaway. I feel like usually it would be like right about here. I don't see a button that would actually let me get the engine cover off. Trunks, front and back, the buttons to make it go faster. Hold on one second. Do you know how to get the... We can't. Huh. The engine is just stuck under there. That's where it lives. They worked with Pirelli to make specific tires for the GT to make it quieter. They actually built in a system of kind of layers and foam, and what it does is it just cancels out, literally, vibration and noise, because tires are actually where that stuff starts. If that stuff starts vibrating in ways that you don't want it to, it reverberates throughout the entire car, particularly inside, and it just becomes annoying and grating. So they fixed that with science. McLaren GT has this spoiler shape kind of built into it. In the back, it's a riff on what they put on their long tail cars at the top end of their supercar range. And what a spoiler does on just about any car is it creates downforce. It literally pushes down on that part of the car. That's particularly key in a McLaren where the engine's already in the back and you've got a bunch of weight. That means it just keeps it really planted at high speeds. It feels really stable. It feels like it's not about to spin off into the atmosphere if you decide to do more than like 90 miles an hour. This is like if you took kind of AI and married it to like shock absorbers. They developed suspension that is controlled in a way that actually starts to learn. It starts to kind of gauge what's happening with the road and adjust the suspension accordingly. If it senses like very early on that it's reading some tiny bumps, it's going to start adjusting the suspension to handle those things. Another thing you can kind of see in here that's super cool is the carbon fiber tub that McLaren uses in just about all its cars. Tub sounds like a not very sexy word, but it's actually one of the most amazing engineered pieces of any car that McLaren makes. It's made out of carbon fiber for 2 reasons. 1, it's super light. 2, it's super strong. If, say, you get into a crash with this thing because it goes so damn fast, it would maybe save you. Not a lot going on in here, which is kind of rare for a supercar. One of the things McLaren likes to do and does really well is actually keeps things pretty simple. The leather inside, they source a lot from Scandinavia because there's fewer mosquitoes up around there. That means the skin, the actual literal cow skin, is that much more soft and unblemished. Another option you can get is cashmere on the interior. That, as you might imagine, costs a little bit to put on a car of this stature. But name another place you could put cashmere on your supercar. One of the really cool features of the McLaren GT, something that they actually took from their top-of-the-line 720 and managed to make it even bigger here in the GT, is this sunroof system. It's not a sunroof in that it opens or closes, but what this thing can do is it gets more transparent or more opaque depending on these controls. It adjusts using filaments that are embedded inside the glass as you kind of go from lighter to darker. It's making those filaments more aligned. When they're more aligned, more light comes through. When they're not aligned, things get darker and more opaque. When you turn the car off, it automatically becomes the darkest setting possible. It's a tiny space. Sun, as you well know, would absolutely cook the interior of this thing, so they made sure that no matter what you do, as soon as you turn the car off, it gets as dark as possible. I'm gonna turn the car on. Couldn't show you the engine, but at least you can hear it. Haha! Beautiful. There's two dials here. One controls the responsiveness, the handling. There's a little H for that. And one controls the powertrain. There's a little P for that. Both of those dials go from comfort to sport to track. So chill, pretty aggro. I want to rip your face off and win the checkered flag and just absolutely dominate, and I'm rich and that's what I'm going to do. When you switch the powertrain one from comfort, which is where we're at right now, on up to sport or track, you're going to hear a little bit of a difference. When you hear that, it's subtle, and that's just it actually kind of letting you know that it's ready to roll. A lot of cars, performance cars at least, can do that. They've got a system within their exhaust to let it get louder. A lot of them these days, though, are actually making a fake exhaust noise and running it through the speakers into the cabin. They're literally faking a badass engine noise. But McLaren, being McLaren, was like, that's trash. Why would we do that? We have an amazing car and an amazing engine, so it's stunning. And I'm sorry that I keep talking over it. We should just sit here and listen to it. I'm happy to see that there's actually cup holders in here. There's 3, which is kind of baffling because there's only 2 seats. Do we have any cups that I could use? What do we got? We got a coffee cup. Fits fairly easily in the main one. Back here where the other 2 are. That's a little, I wouldn't trust that one, and not even at all. Now, I don't even know what that would fit. I guess that's maybe like an espresso. Okay, we got Pepsi. It's fine. Not at all in the second one, and yeah. That's, nope, nothing there. Ah, yes, beautiful, amazing. It's fine there, not at all back there, not at all there as well. So really, it has 3 cup holders, but actually only 1 cup holder. So I revised that enthusiasm and surprise into, too bad for your passenger. I guess they've just got to have a Camelback or something, I don't know. Hold it in their lap and hope you don't accelerate too fast. Inside the cabin, McLaren made sure to use really solid tactile materials. One of the ones that they really focused on was billet aluminum, B-I-L-L-E-T. That's when you take a solid chunk of aluminum and just carve a shape out of it. You'll see it on the steering wheel, on the surround and the screen that's in the console, even on the vent knobs. Solid aluminum, even though it's heavier and kind of weighs the car down, it keeps a warmth and a smoothness and a tactility that just makes you think, this is a rich car. One of the things we got here is the infotainment center. One of the things I like is that the HVAC controls, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, always have a little guy that looks like he's ready to race. He's got a helmet on. They've got ambient lighting that you can check out and kind of like tweak inside the car. And that's a lot of fun because you can just kind of make it whatever you want. You got 6 colors to choose from. Not a ton, but enough. Personally, I like the red and the blue. The places you'll see them are down in the footwell and then also on this very cool strip of metal. When the lighting comes on, there's a little bit of transparency to the aluminum. That's really just showing off. It's a McLaren that took a Xanax before liftoff is what the GT really is. They made something that's actually comfortable to use every day. And that's kind of a big deal for McLaren because their expertise is in just making things that go faster, that destroy people, that crush things. Everything that went into it, from the paint scheme to the design of it, it's all built to make it more comfortable for you to use every day.